It's been quite the week already, I'll be honest. But I wanted to just talk about something that I'm seeing more often lately, and it's quite glaring, for lack of a better word. It is the number of people out here, just that you drive by every day, that there really is only them. There are so many couples out there that they might have moved or their kids moved away, or sometimes all of their friends have already passed, and their opportunities to build a community have gotten smaller over the years. And they're so busy taking care of daily life and each other that all of a sudden a condition comes up upon them and they're really stuck. And I'm working with a couple like that this week, and truly brings up so many different things. Not only is it heartbreaking, and there's only so much that we can do at this point. As some of you may know, I do work for hospice as my day job, which I absolutely love. It is now my favorite job I've ever had. What I really wanted to talk about is how aging can be, we can be so unprepared for it. All we know it's coming, and so many of us just haven't even thought about our plan yet. We haven't even thought about what happens if you can't take care of me anymore? What happens if I can't take care of you anymore? What happens if one of us passes? And we spend so much of our lives rushing and planning for, we got to save for retirement, we got to get our house, we got to raise our kids, we got to do all those things. And then all of a sudden, we're looking at the person next to us going, what am I going to do without you? And unfortunately, there's so many people out here who don't have anybody else. So that really hit me hard this week, because trying to find resources for people, trying to break through that resistance of it's me and you against the world, cracking through that barrier can be exhausting. Doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means that it's exhausting and it's a lot of work. So this week, I really learned a few things that really jumped out at me and woke me up to the fact that we really do need to talk more about this, more than just the financial, more than just we're going to assume that our kids are going to step in and do this for us. But we've gotten so far away from community, from making communities. Growing up, we were always at the school. We were always at Girl Scouts. We were always at softball. And while you always had your bickering and your presidential wannabes, you made community. You felt like you could say, hey, can you do this for this committee, or could you do this for this committee? And it wasn't such pushback or hardship. Now we are so far the other way that if you make a wrong turn or you get in the wrong lane, get out of the way, man. You're going to get run off the road. So we've all gotten smaller and isolated, and that's true as we age too. People, as their world shrinks, as their community passes, as it gets harder to get out there and do things, start to constrict, things start to shrink. And that's the case for my couple this week, that they're so used to me and you against the world, that breaking down that barrier. And the reality is there is nobody really left. So they have to come up with the resources to pay people. And I don't get too much in the financial part, more in the How am I going to get you to understand what you need right now? That's like where I come in. And getting you to accept that you can't get outside and feed those chickens. It's not going to happen. And breaking down that barrier for somebody to understand that what was possible yesterday isn't possible today. And it doesn't take one session. It doesn't take any magic scripts. Not to throw shade on anybody, but I saw somebody out there who put together a book for people to get and turn to page 29 and you're going to get the right response. There was no page 29 in this scenario. You had to sit and you had to do the work and you had to listen and you had to read between the lines. And I know there were people out there going, well, I ain't got time for that. But we have to. We have to take those few minutes to stop and to listen, to read between the lines and try to understand what's going on with them. Because once they trust you, the door is open. Even if, and with my guy, oh my gosh, you could put maybe a piece of paper in it. And then each one of us, it goes in, or you get another piece of paper in. And that's the hard part in my day job, is that people really are in that last chapter. Some of them in that last verse. And being there and supporting them, and not just rubber stamping defiant on them or non-compliant. Because once that is in a person's chart, our books go closed. They're not going to listen. Yeah, they are. You just have to show them that they can trust you. And that trust takes longer than a couple of minutes. It takes longer than your 20 minutes you have before you have to go home and make dinner. And maybe tonight all you can do is 20 minutes. But maybe tomorrow you could do a whole half hour. And while that might seem pie in the sky, or again, I don't have time for that, people just need to listen to me. Once you get someone to trust you and help them understand that you really do have their best interest in heart, you really do want to support them in whatever decision that they make, but make sure they have the right information, I like to say, the right tools, and have a whole array of them. If you do a home improvement, you don't just have a hammer and a screwdriver, you got a whole drawer of stuff you use, and depending on the job. So if we take the time and really look, listen, and let them say stupid things, and if they can't say the stupid things or the hard things, giving them the words. My gentleman, I looked right at him and I said, I'm talking to you like I would talk to my dad. Like I would want somebody to talk to me. And we went over where he is in his disease process. I said, I'm not saying this to scare you or to take away any hope that you have, but I want you to understand where you are right now and what you need to do in order to feel a little bit better, to get some relief. And I told him, it's okay if you're angry. You're allowed to be angry. You should be angry. It's okay. And I got another piece of paper in the door. Does that mean he magically changed? Does that mean that he's now decided, oh, yeah, sure, Marguerite, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do? At 3 o'clock in the morning, is he going to take the medication that's recommended? Maybe not. Is he going to yell and demand that his wife call somebody to get him up out of bed? Maybe. But tomorrow, when the nurse goes in, or when the aide goes in, I think he'll follow through with what's recommended. Keep those dressings on. Hopefully, keep the specialized mattress on. Um, and if he doesn't, he's made his own choice. But we're giving him all the information and all the options. That's what we do in hospice. But it's also what we do every day as caregivers, or should be our goal as a caregiver, because as many people have already found out, caregiving is not a 5-minute job. It can be years, a decade. It can be longer than a decade. And that's a long time to give up yourself, your relationships. It's a long time. But I truly believe that if you work on building your relationship and listen to each other, it can happen. It can be a little bit easier. I'm Marguerite. I'm known as the Caregiver Whisperer. I talk about real life in real homes and talk about real care, not the textbook, not the checklist, real care. I hope to be part of your journey, and we'll talk soon.